The eastern part of the Mediterranean is sprinkled with islands. Large or tiny, these islands occupy a privileged position between Europe and Asia. The Cyclades are Greek islands that form an archipelago in the middle of the Aegean Sea. For geologists, the Aegean covers an ancient continental plateau submerged for millions of years. The Cyclades stand clear of the water because they are the highest points of the ancient plateau. But some of them have a different origin. In fact, the archipelago lies on a subterranean fracture that separates the European and African continents. Earthquakes are frequent, and volcanic eruptions have brought about the formation of some islands. This has not prevented man from settling here. In the Cyclades, the first human settlements go back to 6,000 years BC. Habitat often achieves miracles of balance as it adapts to the configuration of the terrain. The white walls and small windows are designed to resist the relentless heat of the sun. Sun and heat are not kind to agricultural life, and production is often limited. However, the Earth supplies the main resources of the islands. Some plant species have been imported. Others have been cultivated since the beginnings of time. The local methods are still traditional, but gradually the economy is modernizing. With new tools, raw materials like marble are finding a new lease of life. This noble material has been at the basis of many masterpieces throughout the history of the Cyclades. With the improvement in means of communication, the islands have emerged from their isolation. The Cyclades contribute to the increase of tourism in Greece. The tourist sector is a pillar of the national economy and is responsible for a large part of the gross domestic product. In winter, the tourists have gone home. To brighten winter nights, the carnival lights its torches. The flames evoke the purification of sunlight. And just like fire, the noise chases away evil spirits. The Cyclades have fascinated men since ancient times, for the gods seem closer when land and sea come together with the sky. The northern Cyclades are made up of a group of islands that are very different in size and appearance. The Cyclades make up a nome, a prefecture, whose main town is Hermopolis on the island of Syros. It has one of the 6 airports of the archipelago. The town is the commercial and cultural center of the Cyclades, and owes its prosperity to its well-sheltered port. The island of Andros rises to almost 1,000 meters above sea level. It's high enough to produce rainfall and so provide the island with water. Many of the inhabitants have turned to the sea for its resources and have abandoned the rural world. Although it is extremely arid, Mykonos has managed to prosper thanks to its maritime trade. During the day, life passes peacefully. But, in spite of appearances, once night falls, it displays a real taste for having a good time. Delos is an island venerated since antiquity, as it is the place where the god Apollo was born. On the island of Tinos, the Orthodox faith is strictly practiced. At the Feast of the Assumption, profound devotion surrounds the miraculous icon as it is offered to the throng. On Paros, economic activity has always been centered on the sea. it has found the right balance between religious and local traditions. Its neighbour, Antiparos, still possesses huge areas that have resisted the pressure of the building promoters. Town dwellers appreciate the gentleness of the way of life here. In the Cyclades, the sky enhances land and sea with its nuances of blue and white. To the south, the Cyclades archipelago forms another group, stretching further from east to west. The southern islands are close to Naxos, the largest island in the archipelago, big enough to have been known formerly as Little Sicily. The island is vast and fertile. An area of richly varied crop cultivation is dominated by a range of hills that rise to over 1,000 meters. The main town, Kora, is on the west coast. At one end of the port, on a rocky peninsula, stands the marble door of a temple dedicated to the god Apollo. The building, which was started in the 6th century, remained unfinished. In honor of the gods, the Greeks made a careful study of the site where they would build a temple. The Venetians took as much care in the choice of the place where they built the fortified Castro at the beginning of the 13th century. The Venetians left some descendants on the island who are now part of the small Catholic minority. The narrow alleyways that are partly covered over protected the inhabitants in time of conflict. The lintels and the knockers of the doors are signs of wealth. In ancient times, Naxos was one of the first of the Cyclades to work with marble. The island of Naxos attained its peak very early. The Archaeological Museum exhibits a few remains from a civilization that began at the end of the 4th millennium BC, the Cycladic civilization. This produced a large number of idols with crossed arms and a stylized face. This was the beginning of Greek art, but movements were destined to become more relaxed. The seafront was for a long time deserted, as pirates were always a threat. Today, the lower part of the town is always bustling. This is where the commercial activities of Naxos are concentrated. All sorts of local products are found here. The shelves contain an amazing variety of things. This establishment has been run for generations by the family of Kourialos Tsimplakis.
This shop was opened by my grandfather in 1938, and we sell all the traditional local produce of Naxos. Cheese, olives, spices, and herbs.
In the evening, the streets down by the sea are filled with a variety of different tastes and smells. And these mingle with the characteristic sounds of the bouzouki, an instrument of the lute family. The bouzouki is the national instrument of Greece. To the south of Kora, on the west coast, there are endless white sand beaches. The summer months are the season of the meltem, The meltem is a wind from the north and is at its most powerful in the center of the archipelago.
The wind is perfect, and I think the area is quite perfect here for learning and for training, and yeah.
If you're a windsurfer, a thrilling time is an absolute certainty. You can also keep your feet on terra firma, or choose to take to the air with kite surfing.
I was panicking at the beginning, but now it's great.
Throughout history, while the sea has always been an asset to Naxos, it has also been a threat. So during the Byzantine period, incursions by pirates pushed the inhabitants inland. They spread out through the country, settling in many small villages. When they captured Naxos, the Venetians built sturdy fortified towers, like the one in Bologna. A much older building is a temple raised in honor of Demeter, the goddess who taught humans to farm. The temple, made of very fine marble, must have pleased the goddess, because since then, the soil has always been rich in Naxos. The vines are under the protection of another god, Dionysus. The god of wine was born here.
The red wine you see here is made from the Mandilaria grape, while the white is made from the Assyrtiko.
A wine of high repute since ancient times. The olive tree has grown on the island since around the middle of the 2nd millennium BC. It was the symbolic tree of the goddess Athena. The olive is renowned for its nutritional values. Its oil is a genuine fruit juice. A millstone is used to crush the olives. Surrounded by olive trees, the village of Halki, ancient capital of the island, has lost none of its tranquility. Weaving was highly developed on Naxos. Many of the houses had their own loom. This activity is being revived. Cloth is now made for clothes, furnishing, and bags. Maria Marakis.
These are table mats. Red is the traditional color of Naxos, and blue is the color of our country. White goes with everything.
A family distillery produces one of the 3 liqueurs approved by the Greek state.
This distillery has been in operation since 1896. We make the traditional Naxos drink, citron.
The citron tree produces a fruit, the citron, that is bigger than the lemon. The leaves of the tree are distilled and the result is kitron. The secrets of production are jealously guarded by the families. You have to know the recipes, but you also have to take great pains. Yannis Mandinakis.
Thanks to my grandmother, who showed me a few tricks, and by trying and trying, I made progress. I increased the quantities from the ones in my grandmother's recipes.
Naxos really seems to be blessed by the gods. The highest point on the island is Mount Zas, Zeus in Greek. The god is said to have been born here. In the villages, however many inhabitants there are, the Orthodox Church and the priest are central. For a long time, Greece was the only Orthodox country where the religion was not persecuted. Monks from the former Soviet Union sought refuge here. Other refugees, the Cretans, settle in the village of Aperansos in the 17th century to escape from Ottoman oppression. The walls built by the Venetians provided solid shelter. As winter ends, the alleyways of Aperanzos resound with strange metallic noises. With belts hung with bells taken from livestock, young men walk through the streets for the Apokria, Greece's carnival. They're called the Koudounati, and their objective is to make as much noise as possible to chase away evil spirits. After checking that the equipment is strong enough, no effort is spared to attach the belt to the grown-ups. The Koudounati wear a rough cape with a hood. This represents the various disguises worn by the god Dionysos, whose aim in life was making merry. On the village square, the noise is getting louder. The tradition is inspired by the cult of Dionysos, the god of wine and the excesses that are connected with it. Dionysos is also the god of fertility. This explains the wooden stick, the koutskouda, symbol of fertility. With such a din going on, the donkey prefers to have its ears blocked. There are rocks aplenty on Naxos. The most ordinary ones serve for building the terraces used in farming and for defensive walls. But below ground, there are very ancient and much harder rocks that have been sought after and used since antiquity. The port of Mutsuna was in use until the 1950s. A very hard stone dug from the mountain was brought here and then ground down into dust, emery. Emery powder is a very tough abrasive used to polish other stones and metals. It is thanks to emery that marble could be worked on Naxos. Marble is a form of limestone that became hardened under conditions of extreme heat and pressure. The marble of the Cyclades has played an important role in the history of Greek art. In the 6th century BC, a sculptor abandoned this statue of a young man, a kouros, after noticing a crack in the stone. The posture is typical of the archaic period. The rigid attitude of the kouros was the inspiration for the monumental statuary of the Egyptians. It's the start of the Apokrias, the carnival period before Lent. Fancy dress is prepared and makeup applied. Everything is done to the beat of the drums. Their role is quite clear. Angeliki Efsafiou is the organizer.
To make noise, to make the bad spirits to disappear. And the light can symbolize maybe the end of the winter, beginning of the summer. The torches are tradition, and still in the northern part of Greece we still have torchlight procedures that are happening even from the very past.
The torchlight procession is like the one that honored the god Pan, god of nature, flocks and herds. Pan was reputed to frighten away spirits, whence the word panic. This ghostly character represents fear and sin. He must be got rid of in an expiatory ceremony, otherwise the year will not be a good one. Burning the effigy is a way of leaving behind the troubles of winter and welcoming the light of spring. Then everyone dances to the sound of the tsambuna, or goatskin bagpipes. A large monkey, originally it was a bear, along with his trainer, goes through the streets. The bear has come out of hibernation. Winter is over. To the west of Naxos lies the long, narrow island of Sifnos. Its coastline measures barely 70 kilometers, and yet its name has been known since the very earliest times. At first sight, its rocky appearance and lack of vegetation are surprising. Access to the island is via the port of Camares. According to Herodotus, the great Greek historian, Sifnos was the richest of all the islands. In fact, it possessed gold and silver mines that had been worked since 3,000 years BC. But its prosperity did not last. The seams ran out. Water flooded the mines, and in Roman times the island was almost deserted. The inhabitants had to cultivate the land and rid it of the stones, which they then used to build walls. Pigeon lofts are part of the landscape, like the chapels. The livestock is constantly searching for pasture. Grazing areas are too sparse and dry to feed many cattle. However, a fertile plateau lies in the center of the island. This is where 7 villages grew up, nestling one against the other. Apollonia has been the island's main town since the first years of independence. Tradesmen became rich and built beautiful houses under a sky which has the reputation of being always clear. Its own inhabitants claim that Sifnos has everything, as Olgapi Papariani explains.
I like coming to Sifnos. The island is picturesque, the food is good, the beaches are beautiful. It's famous for its churches. There are 365 of them, perhaps even more. The people are friendly and welcoming, but what I like most is the cooking. In fact, the great Greek chef Tselementes came from Sifnos.
The land has endowed Sifnos with many assets. In the 19th century, local potters went from island to island to exploit their talents. They gained an excellent reputation. Alexander Reichart.
Sifnos has its soil to thank for the reputation of its potteries. The whole mountain is made of a type of soil that is ideal for pottery. For example, Kimolos had white earth that was ideal for chalk. The soil on Milos is ideal for kaolin. Sifnos has the best soil for pottery. Wherever you go in the mountains on Sifnos, the earth is red and ideal for ceramics.
The island of Sifnos has often changed hands. Between the Phoenicians and the Franks, the Venetians and the Byzantines, the Catalans and the Ottomans, the island has lived through difficult times and prosperous times. But some immutable traditions have lived on through the centuries. Landscapes, villages, houses and ways of life bear traces of the different cultures that have succeeded each other on the island. In fact, the whole of the Mediterranean basin bears witness to the toings and froings of history. But in the Cyclades, the Orthodox religion has left an extra imprint. Whether lost in the countryside or nestling on a promontory, the churches with their cupolas are everywhere. They were quite often built with the help of donations, either generous or modest. Where they are sited is not a matter of chance. A church perched on the top of a hill is inspired by the prophet Elijah and his ascension to heaven. He is an important person since he is venerated by the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims. In the Bible, the ascension of Elijah is a major event, as it announces the ascension of Christ. In the middle of the Southern Cyclades, the island of Folegandros was created as the result of volcanic activity. Strabon, the geographer of ancient Greece, called it the Iron Island. Boats put into Karavostasi on the east coast. Not only ferries, but the fishing boats that bring fresh fish. Despite the increasing scarcity of fish in the Mediterranean, fishing supplies the needs of the local population.
It's a very tasty fish for making soup, for frying and cooking. You can cook it any way you like.
A tanker keeps the island supplied with drinking water. Lack of water is a problem on many of the islands, especially in summer. They are beginning to desalinate the water in the Cyclades, but the treatment is very expensive. The name Folegandros is thought to have come from a Phoenician word meaning rocky. The coast has only a few places where a ship can put in safely. On the beach at Catergo at the southern end, it is possible to berth. The color of the sand is a reminder of the volcanic origins of the island. Well away from the great shipping lanes, Folegandros has suffered but little from the chaos of history. Its aridness discouraged intrusion. And yet pirates nevertheless have caused some problems. Kora was therefore sighted 300 meters above the sea. The village was built around a castro, erected in the 13th century by the Venetians. The houses, clustered one against the other, form the ramparts, and all the openings face inwards. Above the village, the Church of the Panaria is thought to have been built in the 17th century on the site of an ancient temple. Far from the hills, you can also find Orthodox chapels down by the sea near the boathouses. They're dedicated to the protection of sailors. The dry stone walls fulfill several functions. They can serve as enclosures, but their main function is to help resist erosion. The walls prevent the wind and the rain from carrying the soil down the slopes. Folegandros is one of the smaller inhabited islands in the archipelago. The population of the Cyclades has fallen by nearly a third in 40 years. The mills are no longer used because people's needs and way of life have changed. but certain tasks are still just as hard. Water still has to be brought by donkey from the only spring on the island. The donkey knows the way by heart. The island of Amorgos is the most easterly in the Cyclades. It is 33 kilometers long and is nowhere more than 6 kilometers wide. The hills are not high enough to reach the clouds and so bring down the rain. Nevertheless, plants do sometimes manage to take root between the rocks. They then form a thick carpet from which emerge a few trees, stunted by the wind. A single road has run from the center to the north of the island since 1996. It doesn't make a lot of difference to the goats. The village of Kora is dominated by a rocky peak on which the Venetians had raised fortifications. The most reliable form of transport is still the mule. It is strong and can go everywhere. Before the road was there, only a mule track led to the village. Every surface is lime-washed. Brilliant white against a blue background, the cupola of the Orthodox Church symbolizes heaven above the earth. Amorgos has one of the oldest Byzantine buildings in the Cyclades. Like an eagle's nest on a cliff, the monastery of Kozovyotissa was founded at the end of the 11th century. The building stands with its back to the Mount Prophetis Helias, the prophet Elijah, and flies the Byzantine and Greek colors. A breathtaking staircase carved into the rock leads to the Catholicon. This is the name given to the main church in a large monastery. A number of scenes from the cult film Le Grand Bleu, The Big Blue, were shot on the island. In the southwest of Amorgos, nestling in a deep bay, lies Katapola, the biggest port. Halfway between continental Greece and the shores of Asia Minor, Amorgos is an obvious place for a stop-off. As its name suggests, the town of Minoa was a Cretan colony of the Minoan civilization in the 2nd millennium BC. In ancient Greece, politicians who became troublesome were sent into exile. When they arrived at their destination, which was often extremely remote, some of them founded colonies in memory of their native town. Amorgos was a place of exile at various times in its history. In the north of the island, in the village of Langada, the houses huddled together like a flock of sheep around a rock. Electricity finally arrived here at the beginning of the 1980s, but the locality has lost none of its authenticity. There are even daisies growing in the streets. Langada is the only place in the Cyclades where they play Greek bowls. Bowls have been played in Greece since ancient times, but it was more like a trial of strength than a test of skill. The mountain villages of Amorgos serve as landmarks that sailors can see from afar. In the south of the archipelago, the island of Santorini has a strange crescent shape that it owes to its geological past. The island sits on the volcanic arc that rings the south of the Aegean Sea. Known as the Beauty or the Ring in ancient times, it very soon aroused keen interest. The Greek philosopher Plato decided that here stood the legendary city of Atlantis that disappeared in a cataclysm. There is still no proof that Atlantis existed, but the cataclysm did really happen. In the beginning, there was a highly active volcano in the middle of the island. In the 17th century BC, it erupted. A part of the cone remained. The sides of the volcano form a rim for a vast caldera, the central depression that was left just after the explosion and was immediately submerged by the sea. After the disaster, fragments of the island remained uninhabited for 2 centuries. The people gradually came back. But it was only in the 18th century that the locality of Syra was founded on an extraordinary site right on the slopes of the destroyed volcano on the edge of the plain. This was a risk that nearly turned out to be expensive, for the main town of the island was devastated by a terrible earthquake in 1956. A large part of the town was destroyed, but the population decided to stay on. The town was rebuilt on terraces cut into the volcanic cliff. And not only have the inhabitants no intention of leaving, but people who come to visit want to stay.
It's really beautiful. We don't want to go back to Italy.
One might wonder why the main town of Santorini decided to settle in this teetering position at the edge of a drop. Even with divine protection, the height of the cliff is daunting. The reason is simple. The population wanted to have direct access to the sea, and a stepped track leads down to the Mediterranean 300 meters below. Fortunately for the mules, there's a more modern way to do the trip. In the course of history, a number of islands have appeared in the middle of the caldera. The largest was formed in 2 stages in the 18th and 19th centuries. Vegetation has not had time to take root here, so it still looks like a lunar landscape. Wisps of smoke indicate volcanic activity and the proximity of magma. The volcano is merely dozing. So why not take advantage of its sleep and dive into some hot, sulfurous water? When volcanic soil is well broken down, it is very fertile. On Santorini, the middle of the island has particularly rich soil, and its microclimate, hot during the day and damp at night, is very favorable for growing vines. The vines are kept very low, so that they are not blown down by the wind. Wine growers appreciate the quality.
I'm from Santorini, and I've been living and working here for 28 years. It's the sand and the soil that give the wine its quality.
Santorini escaped the invasion of phylloxera, an aphid that devastated European vines in the 19th century.
The vineyards of Santorini are the oldest in Europe. They have kept many varieties of vine that are descended from the vineyards of ancient Greece.
The volcano that disappeared was 900 meters high. Today, the highest point of Santorini is at barely 300 meters. It's the village of Pierre, the former capital of the island, built on a hill well away from the places frequented by tourists. But still, the local wine merchant is resolutely awaiting visitors. The volcanic rock is broken down by the waves and the action of the sea salt. The beach of Perissa is covered with powdered lava. But that doesn't stop you getting a suntan. Over 2 million years, the volcano has erupted hundreds of times. The layers of piled up ashes are now tens of meters thick. Mixing with water, the material thrown up by the volcano has formed a very soft rock called tuff. In the village of Phoenicia, a number of the houses are built against a hill composed of tuff. They appear to be quite ordinary. But when you get inside, you notice that the temperature is much cooler than outside. The house, which is called skafta in Greek, is in fact hollowed out of the rock.
These houses were caves. In the past, people dug them into the cliff. Then they covered the walls with earth. After that, they whitewashed them and lived in them.
At the extreme northern end of the caldera, there are some more skafta in the village of Oya, which is also built on the edge of a cliff. But Oya was not as lucky as Sira. The village was completely destroyed by the earthquake of 1956. The village was entirely rebuilt and completely respected the materials, shapes, and colors of traditional architecture. At the foot of the cliff, oxidation has revealed the different layers of lava near the port of Amudi. And when the sun goes down, it's time for a spectacle that no one wants to miss. To get nearer to the setting sun, the boats put out to sea. The natural spectacle then gives way to man-made theatre. Artificial smoke simulates a volcanic eruption. Sira is lit by 1,000 lights, and the sky of Santorini explodes. In the evening, the narrow streets and the shops are invaded. The great trade routes of the Mediterranean have been passing through the Cyclades since ancient times. Visitors mingle with local people, and they all dance and indulge in the tradition of breaking plates. The party can finish very late on the hot nights of summer. But the Cyclades don't only live for the summer months, quite the reverse. The real face of the archipelago is revealed when the tourists are not there, between November and April. The mist softens the colors and snow lingers on the mountaintops. Then, suddenly, nature awakes. Even though there are still no leaves on the trees, the approaching springtime is brightening the colors. The color green spreads almost like magic across these sun-scorched islands. In the village of Vivlos on the island of Naxos, the people are preparing the carnival procession. With its sinister face and kept at a distance, the great monkey is always part of the throng. The noise of the bells always has to frighten away evil spirits. Some men are dressed in brightly colored clothes, the colors of spring. They are, in fact, women's clothes that soldiers sometimes put on in time of war to trick the enemy. The monkey is beginning to get impatient, and the procession gets on the move. In the Orthodox religion, the carnival lasts for 3 weeks. It comes before Pure Monday, which marks the beginning of Lent, 49 days before the Orthodox Easter. Before Lent begins, the Greeks live it up. They enjoy veal and feta while they still can. They eat souvlaki, lamb kebabs, and they drink retsina, a resin-flavored white wine. The Greek word kyklos, from which the name Cyclades comes, means circle. The Cyclades form a ring around their traditions, their people, and their ancient existence. As they evoke the cycle of the seasons, the cycle of life, the Cyclades form a ring of blue and white and black.